what's up, everybody? Cameron Hemphill here, your host for Medical Millionaire. Hey, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to tune into the podcast. Our goal is to give incredible value and insight for practice owners. So if you own a med spa, you're thinking about getting into this industry, all of the episodes are 100% designed for you and to help you take your practice to the next level. So, guys, today I have a friend on, I have a guest on. She's a client. She's been in the business for years. She's had a practice for 8 years. And she has a tremendous amount of accolades and done a tremendous amount to help this industry evolve. So I have Lynn here. She has a practice out of Yardley, Pennsylvania. She's been on the show before. It's been a few months, but I wanted to have her back because Amy, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much, Cameron, for having me back. This is such an honor, and I cannot wait to pick up where we left off last time.
Thank you so much. I love the background that you have. You guys are just like knocking out of the park with your studio and everything that you're doing at the practice. It's so cool.
Thank you so much. It's been such an amazing journey. It just keeps getting better. We're in my studio right now, Glow Academy, also where we hold a lot of educational experiences. We're able to now film content for online. So stay tuned for that because we will be launching some trainings online that other providers can log into and learn. And we'll be collaborating with some of my amazing colleagues as well. So it's been great.
I love it. I love it. She just keeps moving the needle and pushing the envelope. It's so cool. I think like a lot of individuals get into the aesthetic space not knowing what they're getting into, and like either they completely fall in love with it and continue to evolve and find like new ways and channels to have fun and produce revenue and create like patient loyalty and internal amazing culture. Like something about you is from my perspective always stood out. Like you glow for one, and so it's like a perfect name for your practice. And you have amazing energy, and I'm sure like people just love to come see you, and I bet the team just loves coming to work. So I would put you in the category of someone that has a unique, extraordinary practice.
Well, thank you.
That's just an outsider looking in. Yeah. So like that's my first question is I want to get right into it.
Yeah.
What makes such an extraordinary practice? Because I think some people struggle with doing that. How do you do it, Amy?
Well, first of all, thank you for that compliment too. I appreciate that because, when we are talking about social media marketing, I want to make sure that our brand is translated out there and the message is consistent and is getting out there and really, affecting people in a positive way. And I mean, going back to even before I opened up Glow Derma, it was more about the emotion, the feeling, making people look and feel their absolute best. And I think that we've been able to be successful at Glow Derma and now Glow Academy and doing these other sort of modalities is that we are consistent and we evolve with our patients, and our patients are number one. And when I come to work, it's like I never ever, and I promise you this, look at my schedule. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think you attract what you put out there. And I can say that our patients that come in, they are amazing. It's more of a relationship. We're able to really go on their journeys, not only for the best outcomes in procedures, but really get to have that like intimacy with the patients. And I think that we've been able to continue to be successful and evolve and grow is because we've never lost sight of our focus and our why. So everybody that's part of the team, we make sure that we are really, 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 mindful of who we bring into the brand. Now that I train a lot and I'm off site and I travel, which is also very important to me in growing Glow Derma and educational experiences, and also making my skill set really improve and working with my other colleagues. It's important that when I'm not here, that everybody is also staying consistent. So consistency, I know I said that word a lot, but I think that that's really something that being an entrepreneur and anybody who is interested in opening up their own business or maybe feel stuck at some point, we all get to that point sometimes too, and that's okay because we're human, but really being able to go back to your why and sticking to that.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I have an episode. One of the earliest episodes I ever recorded on this podcast was about your why.
Yeah.
Right. And it's so real because we're going to have bad days. I mean, it's just the way it is. Like whether it's Monday or whether it's just like you have a patient that's upset or maybe a team member leaves or revenue wasn't as great as it was this quarter versus last quarter or whatever it is. Like there's always challenges being an entrepreneur. And, owning a medical aesthetics practice, and that's one of the messages I want to get out for the audience is this is a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's truly a business. There's obviously so many things that go along with it. Safety, patient experience, like managing profit and loss, the marketing aspect. I actually think it's one of the most challenging businesses to run
Yeah.
because of how much you have to do, right? How much demand is out there,
Right.
especially on the marketing side and the patient side. So you having a practice for 8 years and that continues to just grow and evolve, and like you show up on the podcast with such great energy, like going back to your why, is that something that you guys practice as a team? Like I know there's moments behind the scenes or whatever, it's like, hey, things aren't amazing for whatever reason, right? Like
Right.
whatever that is, like, is that something that you kind of work with the team to pull them back to, hey, we're here to really make an impact and build confidence for these patients, and when they leave, they're happy? Like, I'm so curious to just learn more about that.
Absolutely. Well, culture is everything. So we do have culture check-ins. We do workshops together as a team. We try to do team building events too, so that everyone stays cohesive and aligned. Our leadership team here, Cheryl and Jody, are amazing at making sure that we're doing weekly check-ins, daily check-ins with all the providers, just doing a pulse check to make sure that everybody is, one, happy, two, we can, problem shoot if there is any sort of concerns, and very, very, like, no drama whatsoever. Drama is not allowed to enter the House of Glow ever. And, we're here for the reason, and the reason is our patients. And we support one another. We're a very close group, but we also have created really healthy boundaries amongst all of us so that we can continue to, like, respect one another. And also just, the culture is everything, because patients can feel that the second they walk in the door. If there's any sort of like underlying, drama or resentment, patients can feel that. And honestly, like, that's not fair to them. So every day is glowing and sunny at Glow Derma, because we show up for them just like they're showing up for us, and they're choosing us. And that's a really big responsibility. And I think that's something that you never, ever, ever want to lose focus of, that patients have a choice and they can go anywhere, and they're choosing us. So we have to show up 110% for them no matter what.
I love it. I love it. So they come in, they're expecting an experience, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
taking time out of their day. They could be having a bad day. They could be having a great day, but they're coming to the provider that they love, that they trust, and someone that they can connect with, right?
Yeah.
And then leave with an amazing result. Like that's why they're coming to you is, hey, I want to go see Amy. I want to go see the team because, hey, it feels good. I love being here. And
Yeah.
by the way, I'm going to leave with an amazing result, right? There's so much power with that. Like the more
Yeah.
I've been in the business for a long time, on the business side, but the more I educate myself about what practice owners go through, I mean, I build this massive amount of respect for you guys, because it's not an easy objective, and you're absolutely just killing it.
Thank you. Well, we're given such a great opportunity, like even outside the walls of our practices too, because I find that if patients are leaving, people are leaving, and they are feeling more confident and they have an uplifting experience with us, well, that energy is then going to be translated out there in the universe. And then that's going to have a positive impact. So it's this whole synergistic effect that it's bigger than just what our walls are and what's inside here, that we're able to really make a massive impact. And how many career paths, are able and given the opportunity to have that responsibility. So I take that really seriously. And if I can brighten one person's day and make them a little bit happier, whether it's on social media, if something resonates with them, or, with my patients going out there or amongst our squad, then I feel like, my job is well done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you made a comment earlier to where you travel a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I go to a ton of events. I mean, shoot, I feel like there's an event every weekend at this point.
Yeah,
So
for
those
sure.
events have grown, like they're everywhere.
Oh yeah.
So it's hard to kind of pick and choose, and obviously you have to be home for the family and run the practice. But there had to be a moment in time, because I talked to other like single providers that are on the up and up, they're doing well, but they struggle with, okay, how do I grow this practice myself? Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be that chasm that shifts. It's like, you know what? I need to invest in my team,
Yeah.
because as Amy, the provider and the owner, like you network a lot. You go to events, I see you on panels, I see you speak, and you give so much value just, I mean, to the industry as a whole. But that requires you to leave the practice and have the confidence, like, you know what, this thing's going to run because my team is capable. When was that moment? Like, how did you do that?
Yeah, well, when I first opened, it was just me. I had one front desk and esthetician. So I was my own assistant. You learn all different avenues. And then you realize that it's okay to also, if you invest in your people before you even think about things, you're going to also cultivate that leadership and that support. So I'm really careful with who I bring into this practice. And I think it was, you realize you don't have to be great at every single thing. So I know where my like skill sets, my natural interest is, and where I can really, what I want to do. And then there's other things that are really important, like staying organized behind the scenes. So my leadership team supports that so much. I would say probably, I guess maybe about 2 years into running my business, that's when we really started just adding on more additional people, and also really allocating these different roles to the proper people and trusting them. And I've messed up in that department too. I've trusted the wrong people. I've given too much autonomy to others and just kind of thought things were happening. And I think I've learned how to like let go a little bit, but also always being involved and knowing all aspects of the business, but being okay with people taking the lead when it's appropriate.
I love that. That's huge. And so, and that like comes with the territory. I mean, we have to take risk. We have to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
As being an entrepreneur and being a practice owner, like that just comes with the territory, right? And so,
Right.
I think that there's business owners and practice, owners out there that they need to do a better job of understanding, like, just to your point, you don't have to be like the best at everything.
Mm-hmm.
You have an incredible team. Cheryl, who I've interacted with, Jody, who I've interacted with, like they're on it. They're great. I think I communicate with them more actually maybe than you,
Yeah, for sure. They're
but they just
amazing.
handle it. Yeah.
Yeah, they handle it. They're extensions of me, and I think they represent me and the brand very, very well. And I trust that, when they say they're going to do something, I trust that it will be handled from the beginning to the end and see it through. And that communication part is key. So always saying communicating with one another and keeping that line open at all times. Because then when I do leave, I can focus on where I am. I can be more present. And then when I'm home, it's these different roles, and trying to be like, how hard is it to stay present all the time? And we hear this all the
Oh
time,
my
that
gosh.
stay present in the moment, stay present in the moment. Well, this is how I'm able to do that, because of my team. And I'm able to have these systems that are good. And I'm always changing things up also, because we are evolve. I know we're using the word evolve a lot, but I love that word because I think that like really does describe what our industry is. We're always evolving, right? And so this is something that I think communication line is key, trusting the right people, just never ever losing that. I think when communication starts to decrease, that's when problems start. And also we do, I like to know everybody's love languages too, because each
Okay.
of our team member, they might receive things differently. As far as some might, giving them like a good, like, yeah, you're doing a great job, will really mean a lot to them compared to maybe someone else who is like a little gift or something like that. So making sure that you're also, as a leader and entrepreneur, you're understanding each person's uniqueness so that you're able to also bring out their best as well. So I think that that also helps. And, finding out what their attributes are, what their interests are, and really where they excel, and being able to bring that out in them. I think that that's really empowering, and having autonomy within a framework.
Yeah, no, that's huge. I think like, I've read the book, The Five Love Languages, and that's a great call out and a great point. I think it makes total sense to apply that to your leadership team. Apply that to everybody that's a part of the actual, the bone that is the brand, right? And so like that's a great takeaway. And I think like, practice owners don't do enough of that, understanding their team at a
Mhm.
deeper level and how to build on that, right? And so like if you understand that core foundation, then you can really build on that and really hit home what matters to them most. Versus like if you don't understand what their love language is, you may be attacking a completely different area that just is not the right way to go about it. So that's a great point.
Exactly. And
Um,
then you're unable to really bring out their highest potential. And isn't that what it's all about? I think that also as an entrepreneur, like you're also giving the opportunity to bring out your team's best, interests and help them grow as well.
yeah, no, I completely agree. And I'm curious, like, so how does that translate into delivering an amazing patient experience? Because without looking at any data, right? Like I haven't looked at, your books or your EMR, your bookings or anything like that. I'm just from an outsider looking in, okay, I look at the website, I see traffic, I see your social, all that stuff. I would assume that your patient retention rate or patient loyalty KPI data is off the charts. Like I would assume when patients come, they typically stay. How does that translate into like hammering home the experience of the patient to continue to get them to come back and enjoy that experience?
Well, that's always the goal. Every time we get a patient, I don't want to necessarily treat hoppers, one that are going from practice to practice to practice. So it starts before even their booking, right? So our patients are so educated. They do their homework now. They come in and they know a lot more than what they did 5 years ago because the resources are so much more available out there. So making sure when they're being like educated the proper way, because there's a lot of resources. So making sure it's reputable. And then, it starts in that consultation process and really interviewing that patient, listening to their needs, coming up with a goal. And then I spend a lot of time with our aesthetic planning, which is basically we talk about everything in the consultation. It's about 45 minutes or so, that initial engagement. And we're able to really set up some goals. So they come up with a plan. It's not intimidating. I also like our patients to feel empowered that they have choices as well. So we get into a lot of the education, the why behind things, and then they get an email from our personalized email that go over every single thing we talked about in our consultation, addressing those goals. And that goes from skincare, laser treatments, injectable treatments, wellness, health and wellness, the whole thing. It's a very holistic approach and really focusing on the best outcomes. That is something also in our industry that we're really trying to shift patient's mindset into not just, oh, here, put a syringe here, put a syringe there. It's like, what is the why
Yeah.
behind it and underlying causes? And how are we able to deliver the best outcome overall? So after that, our patient coordinator gives a call to the patient, lets them know that it was emailed in a text, and then they're able to see it. And I will tell you, patients love that. And when I go and train different offices, I'm shocked that this is an area that still is not consistent across the board. This is something we've been doing from almost day one. And we just made our own template up with it and we keep changing it. But those personalized touches and those follow-up calls, our patients get a handwritten note from us when it's their first time with us. Patients love that. It's all these tiny touches that we haven't lost from day one. So I think that patients really, really, really are excited about that. And they can feel that we care and that they're heard and that we're here for them. We're here for their whole journey.
I love it. So okay, so if I'm gonna come into the practice, right, as a new patient, I'm gonna go through this journey. I do an initial consultation. I come in and we have a conversation. It's 45 minutes. Do you have like a key list of questions that you go through that's like, I wouldn't say like template based, but in a way I would say like a guide, right? So you can kind of pull that out of them and then paint that journey for them.
Kind of, yeah. The conversation, I think, because it's pretty, I do a lot of these, so I don't have like, okay, I asked you this question, that question, that. But I kind of
Right.
feel the patient out, get to know their personality, and make them feel comfortable, of course, with me. Because if it's their first time meeting me, sometimes they've been watching me on social media, and we feel like we already have a relationship, which is actually very, very cool. I actually
Yeah.
really like that. And then they say, "Oh, you're the same in person." Okay, so I think that that's really neat because sometimes we've met people that we've seen online, and then you meet them in person, and you're like, "Oh my God, there's such a disconnect." So I'm glad that at least that is being received. That message is being received. So I do. It's not like a punch list, but I do try to, make them feel comfortable to open up to me and build that trust from that initial consultation.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that makes sense. And
Yeah.
so then there's a journey, right? It's a journey
Mhm.
approach. It's not, and that's a great takeaway for the audience is, I see other practices where I mean, online booking's wonderful, and I'm a big fan of online booking, a big fan of like the consultation, absolutely critical. But understanding their needs, their wants, desires, and getting, down into the granular detail of, okay, what is the outcome you're really looking for, right? I think
Right.
like there is hoppers out there, and the hoppers, maybe they want a deal or they're going to an event or whatever it is, but at the same time, they're probably not really like fixing the underlying issue to
Right.
get to the results they're looking for, right? And so
Correct.
that's a like you couldn't have said it better. That's the experience I would want,
Yeah.
and I've been to a lot of practices where I've just kind of secret shopped and kind of looked at their model and their intake, and I've seen like everything. I've seen the experience. I haven't been to your practice, but I've seen that type of approach on other
Hmm.
practices that do well, and then I've seen the complete like plug and play, come get in, like get out type of
Right.
type of
Like
journey,
cookie
and there's no
cutter.
touch there. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Well, what we do, these are all individuals and there isn't a one size fits all. So making sure that it's
Hmm.
customized and tailored to each individual, I think that's really great too. And educating our patients. I do a lot with regenerative, regenerative approach like Sculptra and, all the different products that help with regeneration and kind of turning back the hands of time. And patients are really open to that now, where I would say 5 years ago, they wanted that immediate. Well, now we're seeing kind of the opposite approach that people just really want to look like the best versions of themselves. So like adding in these modalities are really, that's been amazing. And that kind of keeps that patient on board with you because they're seeing natural regenerative results and the outcomes are happening and it's progressive. And it's just so awesome. I love looking at a patient's journey, like an annual journey, and going back to like their first appointment with me to like maybe 12 months later, and even like their energy through the pictures are like happier, confident, and the results speak for themselves. So I love that journey approach. I love that relationships that we're able to build, and I'm just really grateful to have the opportunity with them.
Okay, so and I know that like charting is big in, safety and compliance and all that, but it's more than just the compliance and safety component. It's that journey and watching them build that transformation into boosting confidence, which that's where they want to get to. And I think like practice owners kind of lose minds. The thought process around that is, hey, we're looking for a journey here. It's almost like going to the gym, right? Or like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna decide to be, healthy for a week or 2 weeks or whatever. Go to the gym, but you have to be consistent. You have to have a plan. You have to have a coach. You have to have a provider, right?
Yeah.
That's going to guide you towards success. And so I think that's huge. So you document those before and after images as they go through that journey, and you can actually see the smile
Yeah.
transform and the confidence. I would love to see data at some point. It's just totally off the wall here, but I would bet that the individuals that have come and seen you, working professionals, let's call it, that have come and seen you over the course of 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, I bet it has something to do with their income. I bet their income goes up.
Yeah, well, that's what they say. I mean, if you're, it goes hand in hand. If they are feeling more confident, then they're gonna in their personal lives also. That's going to translate, and relationships and all of it. Looks aren't everything, but if you feel confident and you feel that you're, I mean, you know how it is. Like if you wake up, you're like, today's gonna be a great day, which I say every day, no matter what, because it sets the tone. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
feeling like confident and empowered, that's going to affect everyone that is around you. So I would agree with you. I think that success rate is probably very huge. And I mean, I know when I feel like I'm on my A game, I can take on the world, So and I think many people do. And I think that it has a really healthy, positive impact on their personal life, their careers, maybe also their relationships. I think it's really, really impressive. So yeah, I would love to have data on that too. Let's work on that.
I don't know, Ed, where you have to find it. Maybe
How?
Alex at Amspa could help
Yeah.
us or something. But yeah, no, it's interesting. I do know that first time patients, they spend less than the second, third, fourth, fifth time come in. From a national level, those are some data points I was looking at. I would
Okay.
assume that's the same at your practice.
Yeah.
Is that would you agree with that or?
Yeah, well, I usually tell patients that first year, let's say that they're going to see me the most, especially because we're
Hmm.
working towards that maintenance schedule. So that
Yeah.
first year, it might be a little bit more if we're like really crossing over different modalities when we're talking about any of our aesthetic procedures, and then we work towards maintenance. So patients love hearing that maybe this year it's going to be a little bit more of an upfront investment, but then after that, we're working on that maintenance schedule, so we're not overcorrecting, overdoing it. But in the same respect, because our industry is growing and changing so much, and there's different choices and options, it's becoming way more this broad, span of different options with it. So I don't know. I'd have to look into that, but I think that they like hearing about the maintenance schedule. I'm really big with that. And then being really open and honest with them and communicating with them that that's kind of our goal. But in the same respect, we're getting new treatments, new ideas, new
Yeah.
concepts. So it's kind of getting woven in there as well. So yeah, I would say it's probably pretty consistent across the board.
Yeah, this industry evolves. I feel like it changes every month. It's
Mhm.
wild. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
like the wellness side of the business has just exploded.
totally.
Um, and I love that. Like I'm a patient, and I love feeling good. Like looking
Yeah.
good's wonderful. Feeling confidence on the outside is great. Feeling good at my age, shoot, I'm like almost over the 40-year-old age now. So like,
Uh-oh. Well, you don't look it.
yeah,
And yeah,
it's
well,
it's helpful. So I think it's huge. It's important.
yeah, no, for sure. If you don't feel good, then that's going to also have a negative impact. So I agree with you. We do IV hydration therapy here. We also do micronutrient telomere testing, but that's also very much a specialty as well. So when we
Mhm.
first opened, it was like, oh my gosh, this like great concept, and it was new. No one in our region was doing that. And that was actually inspired from my ER trauma days. So I'm like, oh, if this works
Okay.
on like not well people, it's probably going to have a really good impact on people that are well and just want to feel better. So
Yeah.
that's been really good. And you can, add that on to any service. You can relax in our drip lounge with it. But definitely the wellness part is such a specialty that, again, I had to kind of like figure out what gear I wanted to go on, because when I go all in, I go all in and I want to do it right. So that wellness piece, we are going to bring back different elements and grow from that like core foundation, because it's so big and patients are like absolutely loving it.
Okay. So that makes me think a little bit because as the industry and specialty has grown, I mean, I'm sure you get bombarded with, and still to this day, like you probably say no to things more than yes, I would assume. All the different lasers out there, like the modalities that are out
Mhm.
there. You got hormone replacement therapy now. You got semaglutide, tirzepatide, like all this stuff. Like, how do you know? And I'm sure you're obviously at this point in your career path, knowing, hey, say no. This is who we are. This is where we're going. But I also see other practice owners, maybe like year one to year 4 or 5, they just get bombarded, and
Mhm.
sometimes they are overwhelmed and they almost want to like provide everything
Yeah.
because maybe the other, MedSpa down the road or whatever is providing something and they feel like they need to provide it too. Like, what are your thoughts on that? And how do you just not only like stay in your lane, but I guess that's the right way, stay in your lane and understand what works for you and what's right for the patient. Like, how do you manage that?
For sure. It's like kind of like, what do you want to be known for? And I'm big with like the specialty of like really finding like what your like specialty is and grow from that. So that's like to your point that we said earlier about like even building your team out, is
Mhm.
I can't be everywhere all the time. I can't be the best at every single thing that goes in with the practice and still be able to maintain one, my sanity, right? And two, like be okay and have that balance of the education and the travel, because my team is also aligned with me, knowing that that is super important for me to go out there in the world, to bring elements of what I'm learning out there, the relationships and the collaborations that I've been able to build, these friendships over years and years, that I'm bringing all that value back to Derma so that we can continue to stay innovated and making sure that we are like ahead of the curve. And people love that we're a teaching practice as well. We have an amazing co-op. We were actually the first in the country to have an official accreditation. That's at Drexel University. So they approved our site to actually have nursing co-ops come in and do that as far as their clinical rotation, which is super exciting for our industry as a whole, because we don't have a medical track specific to that. So I know that these are areas that I know I want to really focus in and not get overwhelmed and distracted with like having to be this or that or all the things that go on with that. There's people that might be their interest. And even as we bring teammates on and squad members, it's kind of like, where's their interest going? Because we all have different elements with that. So I'll let someone take the lead on something that they're really interested in and grow from within. So I think that's something you just can't, it can be so overwhelming. When it comes to devices, I'm so intentional and careful. I do my homework. I talk to my friends. I see what's working, what's not. I can't like offer something unless I fully believe in it. So it's just not authentic to me. If I'm saying this is the best and I've never even tried it, or it's really not, just because it's being sold to me to make like an ROI, like that's not me. So that's how we've been really careful with different things that we do bring in here.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think it's, practice owners get so overwhelmed. Like there's so many options. And I remember going to my first medical aesthetics show, and it was overwhelming. It was probably, like 90% of this, like less of the size than they are now.
Yeah.
But you go to some of these conferences as a first time conference event or networking event, like it is overwhelming.
Oh, 100%.
The speakers, the exhibit hall, like what classes to go to, it's a lot. It's a fire hose to take in over the weekend, which is important. I think also some other practice owners may go to one event and, okay, check it off the list. Okay, I went to an event. How important has that been for you to be consistent and disciplined about continuing to go to networking events and building up? Like, I know you have a great internal network outside the practice of colleagues that you communicate with, collaborate with. Like, how important and impactful has that been for you?
Oh, it's been great. When I first opened and then Derma asked me to be a trainer, I felt like, I didn't know anybody in this industry at all. I was more or less like self-taught. I had to figure it out 8 years ago. We didn't have these resources. And then when Derma asked me to be a trainer for them, that put me in this like niche group. So we're able to really, network with one another. And then we kind of like pick and choose what different events we go to. A lot of the different conferences now, even when we're talking international as well, I love doing that because then you can really expand your mindset and have more of a global approach and see what other countries are doing, and kind of also say like, hey, we're doing a good job here with, especially with education. And everybody thinks the grass is greener everywhere else, but I think everybody does have their, their special uniqueness to it, and different countries and different providers. So we're able to come together and just exchange ideas. But I think networking, getting yourself out there, finding your people and being able to grow together is super, super important. And most of the conferences I go to now, I am on faculty. I'm very honored to do that. And it's really, it puts you in this position that you can have a voice that's much bigger than just in the walls of your own practice.
Yeah, it's huge. And it just helps elevate, the practice owner experience, and helps people get themselves in a position to where they can have success and understand
Exactly.
what to do, what not to do, like things that you've learned, maybe that that you can help others like not make those decisions. I
Yeah.
think you've been in the space a long time where you've kind of had to bird dog some of that, which is great. I think for practice owners now, their challenge is maybe trying to get the supply of patients potentially. I mean, the demand is out there. Like,
Right.
if you look at the data, the demand is out there versus the supply of providers. In fact, there's like a pretty large deficit on the providers available to actually service the demand, right? But from a business standpoint, there are so many resources now. It's really cool to see. Like, I love going to the conferences just to pop in and learn about everything I can from a clinical aspect, because I do not have any background when it comes to medical, when it comes to clinical. Like, that's just not my background. It's all
Right.
business,
Right.
and so I'm continuing to learn, and it's important, and to be able to help other providers that, to grow their practice has been good.
Exactly. I think you also don't feel so alone too. Because I
Yeah.
think as practice owners, like you can feel like, oh my gosh, am I the only one going through this? Or what's a great way of like handling this situation? Or, especially when you are like going through growing pains and ready to expand in whatever way that shows up for the person. But you're able to really, collaborate with others and learn like, okay, I'm not going crazy. And I'm not the only like person that this has happened to, whatever the situation. And then we can, educate one another, whether it's, on the entrepreneur business side of it, or if it's on the clinical side.
Yeah. But I was thinking too, just to pivot for a second, like seasonality. I haven't focused too much on it, but when it comes to seasonality, where you are in Yardley, Pennsylvania, I know we were talking offline, it's super hot there. It's humid. It's hot and humid where I am. Where do you see seasonality in terms of when the books just get cranking full to when they come down? I would assume like summer months can be interesting with people traveling. August is probably interesting, kids getting back into school.
Yeah.
Like, where do you see the seasonality from a localized event?
Well, a lot of people do. They go on vacations during the summer, but most of the time we stay pretty consistent. It's definitely not like high tide when kids go back to school. We're getting ready for the holidays, gearing up for that. I would say
Mhm.
those are our biggest months, starting like in September through the holidays. And then, but the nice thing is that there's always that constant flow of new patients coming in as well, or referrals. So it's pretty good. Summer, I think across the board tends to be a little lighter, but again, I've condensed my schedule around. I see patients 3 days a week. We're open 7 days a week though, so there's always multiple providers here to give treatment. So I think I've like condensed my schedule enough, and being mindful of that it's pretty consistent. And but yeah, definitely I would say fall toward end of the year, and then it kind of picks back up in the early spring. And then that's because, when you're cold, we were saying we don't like the cold weather at all. That's why I'm not going to complain about the hot and the humidity, because
Yeah.
snow is not my jam at all. So I think, but the nice thing is that people, no matter what, these services are, obviously they're optional, but people are still desiring them. So as long as you can stay in that constant wavelength, think outside the box, and really don't get stuck. If you do have a lull at a time, there's always something you could do to kind of like drive that energy back in. So I like to kind of take a pulse check when it comes down to it. If we're seeing that some of the providers are not consistently booked, kind of thinking, okay, what can we do to help support this? What can the provider do to maybe step outside the box, get out of their comfort zone so that they're able to have that consistent flow?
Yeah, that's a great point. What are when you see that, when you see, okay, maybe provider A is not as busy as provider B, hey, let's think outside the box. Like, is there anything that you could highlight that was like, okay, we tested that, tried that, that didn't work. We tested that, that was a home run. Like that
Uh-huh.
worked. Is there anything that comes to mind? I'm curious because I see that a lot where like there's a lot of providers at practices or there's not, or if there is, sometimes they're not all booked. Like, what have you
Right.
seen work for getting other providers to become, just get their schedules full
To
and
motivate
increase?
them. Yeah. Well, again, like I mentioned before, autonomy within a framework is important. And I think that our personality is also our brand, obvious that out there. So maybe what has worked for me and my approach isn't exactly what's going to work for another provider. I can't assume that. And because I want them to really like expand on that, but really being on them about being consistent on social media. Also referrals. I mean, that's huge. I built my whole business based on referrals because social media really wasn't that much of a thing back then. So referrals, checking in, doing follow-ups with patients. If you see that maybe some of your patients haven't been in a while, just, reaching out to them, giving them that personalized touch. Those have been really like effective, I would say. And then also our leadership team, making sure that they're staying on top of their different, whether it's education. We do in-house trainings here a lot with our providers, but making sure that they're also in alignment. Because if you start losing interest and then you can kind of feel that energy, that's going to affect other people too here. So we want to make sure it's constantly, people aren't getting like discouraged if maybe their books aren't completely full, but also kind of put that back on them as well, as so like, hey, we can tell you, you can lead over a water, but you can't make them drink, right? So we can't, like, we want to also make sure that they are taking ownership in building their brand as well, as Derma, and that their book is, full, so that they don't get discouraged. No one likes that when they're not
Yeah.
busy. So we want to make sure that they are also, taking ownership as well.
It's huge. I think like everybody has their own unique approach, and they want to make it like the authentic approach as well,
Mm-hmm.
right?
For
So,
sure.
and getting those providers busy and love being busy and enjoying that process, and also probably some education in the sense of, hey, I've been
Yeah.
at this for 8 years. It doesn't happen overnight, right?
Yeah.
You got to be. There's probably a lot of consulting and coaching that goes from you to the provider aspect of like, hey, like you have to be consistent. You have to be disciplined. You got to get out there. Everybody has to know who you are and what you do.
Yeah. Exactly.
You have to be social about it. It's almost like, getting your, getting your real estate license, like, and no one knowing that you're in real estate, you're
Right.
probably not going to sell too many homes,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Uh,
I couldn't agree with you more. You can't be quiet about this too. There is a personality that goes along with this too. And you have to kind of you have to put yourself out there and take chances and understand that certain things are going to work and certain things are not, and to let it go and then kind of move on from it and never get stuck. And we do have KPIs that our providers are, expected to achieve. And that is social media. That is like patient retention, and also, let's see, what's the other? Yeah, patient satisfaction. Sorry, that's Cheryl here. I'm like, she's in charge of the KPIs. See, I allow her to,
love it.
take on that role. So, but those are things that we can actually look at and we can measure so that they are able to like understand what their expectations are.
Are the KPIs something that you guys go over on your weekly staff meeting? Like, where are we at? Just to kind of get a pulse on everything.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah,
You got it.
I love it.
And then
No,
there's
that's a
like a
great
slight little
compliment.
bonus, at the end of the month, if they meet their required KPIs, they also get like there's an incentive that goes along with it.
There you go, guys. You got KPIs, and then you got incentivization to hit those metrics, which is huge. Like
Hmm.
that's how every business should be ran, whether you're own a med spa or own a tech company or whatever it is, right? So
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. All right. Pivoting just for a second, I'm curious to know what is the current technology stack that Glow Derma uses? So
Technology.
talking about, yeah, like